Long-time viewers of mine will know that the Cybermen are my personal favourite Doctor Who villain. They are an incredibly haunting silver mirror looking into the future of humanity, created by Kit Pedler and Jerry Davis during the mid-1960s for Doctor Who, at the beginning of its 4th season, when the show was trying to move away from historicals, move away from fantastical, and try and talk more about hard sci-fi. They have undergone numerous iterations over 55 years of TV, from the 10th Planet to The Vanquishers, which was their latest appearance. And Sleepy Tiger says they aren't villains. They are often... they're antagonists, shall we say. They're not outright villainous. However, I think that the best Cybermen stories are ones that are framing them as a tragedy. They're not epic soldiers or warriors. They are a doomed species that try to survive. However, because they have had such a long history, they have had numerous iterations and designs. So we're going to go over those in this tier list. I'm on Tier Maker now. Let's full screen this. I'm on a tier list here. So we've got excellent, great, average, and bad. Because this is a tier list, I will be using all of these categories as well. Otherwise, I can't just put all of them in excellent. Also, there's a not canon one here. This is the Cybermen from the Dark Dimension, which never got made. This is like concept art. These are the adventure game ones. We kind of want Cybermen that are believable and can exist in the real world. Like, it kind of feels like cheating to have video game ones. And the Danny Pink one is just the late Moffat era one, and we have the Cyber Drone, which is just the Cybus one's like head. Like, there's nothing to work with here. So we'll be going in chronological order, and also because, especially when we get to like the Cybus men on this tier list, there's a lot of overlap. Like, these designs are basically identical. We'll just put them all in one thing, barring some drastic changes. So we're going to go in chronological order in terms of when these designs were done. And Slippy Tiger says no comic Cybermen. Unfortunately not, but the Cybermen from the Flood look really awesome. So we're going to open with the World Enough in Time and 10th Planet Cybermen designs, where you've got the cloth faces, you've got the Roy Skelton sing-song voice, where they just open their mouths and the electronic voice comes out and then they close them. Obviously, this is a way to open the tier list, but these have got to be top tier. These are genuinely scary. And what I love about the DVD remastered version that we got is that you can actually see the actors' eyes behind the bandages, like unblinking, black makeup around the eyes. The creepy voice is terrific. There is a logistical issue in terms of the Cybermen where they've got these massive, big, bulky fronts. However, that just kind of sells the idea that you've got these life support systems just bolted onto this race. The Cybermen sound terrific as well, whether it's Roy Skelton or Nicholas Briggs from the 10th Planet all the way up to World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls. We also have them in spare parts as well. The voice is terrific and creepy and scary.
We are stronger and more efficient than your people. We must be obeyed.
Yeah, the cloth faces as well, and the human hands, like, everything has been converted for the most part except for the human hands, like the constant reminder of humanity, the plastic sleeves around the arms as well. There's enough humanity in there that these are still recognizably altered humans. Alex L, I waited for you. Terrific. Yeah, it's terrific. These are incredible. The Vacuum of Comments is what must have people made of the 10th Planet at the time. I would love to know, especially that first cliffhanger at the end of part 1 when it's the Cybermen in the snow. I know that the actors had a terrible time on the 10th Planet walking around with them, very uncomfortable costumes, which is what motivated the next costumes on this list. We've got these ones from the Moon Base and the Tomb of the Cybermen. We also have the Cyber Controller here. I'm going to put these ones in the great category. I think that these are a downgrade from the original designs from the 10th Planet, but they are practically better for the actors, which obviously is not a category or is not a contingency that everybody is going to go along here. When you've got the chest unit as well, which looks like a more advanced but still recognizable chest panel from the 10th Planet, the Mondasian Cybermen. It just looks like they've streamlined, but it still gets across the concept. The helmets look really cool, but because you see no eyes, no human eyes behind the actual eye holes, I think you do really lose something there. But the panel as well, that's a great way to just have them open and the robotic voice comes out.
You belong to us. You shall be like us.
It's brilliant. I also love the Cyber Controller as well, where it's a similar costume, except you lose the chest unit, but you've got the big brain on top, which just looks terrific in black and white as well. The voices are great. The thick tubings on the arm and the obvious like plastic tennis balls on the wrist is not the best, and it dates it a little bit. It's a great more streamlined version, but I think with the metallic helmet you do lose the humanity that the Mondasian ones had. Next up, this is the wheel in space design. Honestly, I'm putting this in the bad category, because the voice is really, really weak. Like, you know our ways, you must be destroyed. And if you're wondering, wow, how did Mr. TARDIS do his voice modulator voice like that? That sounded identical to what they'd sounded like in the 1960s. No, it's just pure vocal talent, everybody.
You know our ways, you must be destroyed.
They're not directed particularly well. So there's no like intimidating moments or intimidating shots and angles of these Cybermen. They are quite boring. The voices are quite boring as well. They do the flappy, weird flying when they're moonwalking. It's not very cool. It just looks very silly. And you've also got the little bit jutting out from the bottom of the lip where it just looks like they're going like that. That's the... They look a bit silly, and I'm not a fan. Okay, next up, we've got the design from The Invasion. The Cybermen are quite weak in the story. Like, it's a great story. The Invasion is a terrific story, but they don't have that much to do. But I love the design. I think that it's similar to the Cybermen from the Tomb of the Cybermen in terms of like the profile, but the helmet with the flat face and the extra bits on the side, it completes it a bit more. I don't know. I'm going to put this in the great tier. I'm putting this in great. Yeah, the costumes are more streamlined. You just look at the ones where they're walking down St. Paul's Cathedral. They're immediately recognizable. If you were to ask the average person in the 1960s what the Cybermen looked like, that's probably the design they would maybe go for. If I was doing a nostalgic retread of like the 1960s Cybermen, if I was showrunner, this is the design I'd try and do. If I was going to be a madman and maybe bring in Croton, the Cyberman companion from the comics, into the series, the Invasion design is what I'd go for. Next up is the design from Revenge of the Cybermen, which is basically the same as the Invasion, but it has a gun on its head, so I have to put it here. I also have to put the Cyber Leader here. The black helmet genuinely looks great. Because this is in colour, the Revenge of the Cybermen designs, when they're all shiny and bright in the Wookiee Hole caves, it's a great image where you've got the Cybermen walking around the dark caves, but they are the anachronism. They are contrasting with the darkness of the caves. If these were in almost any other type of story visually, they might have made its way to average, but because that they are in Wookiee Hole caves and still shining, I have to put them in this category. And also the gun on the heads as well. It just means that they're able to walk around and just mow down Vogons, and it just looks effortless. I don't like the idea of Cybermen as a militaristic force, but if they're going to be that, I like the effortless nature of them walking around, just aim and shoot, aim and shoot. This might be a controversial opinion, but I like the voices of the Cyber Leader and the Cybermen in Revenge of the Cybermen, how there's not much modulation, but because it's slightly echoey and a bit quiet, it does feel like it's a voice coming from within the helmet. It feels like there is somebody trapped in the suit of armor.
The heart of Boga is almost pure gold. Gold is hostile to our function.
Revenge of the Cybermen is not a good story, but the Cybermen designs, I have very few complaints, to be honest. Next up, we're going to go for the 1980s design after they returned in Earthshock. Right. I'm going to break rank a little bit here. So the Cyber Leader is going in the excellent category.
Excellent.
However, I'm going to put the Cybermen as normal in the average category. And I'm going to explain why. So for the Cyber Leader, of course, you have David Banks, and he is excellent, and he's a brilliant, overly emotive, but iconic Cyber Leader. What kind of sells this above the other designs in this category for me is that because of the silver chin, under the glass, the plastic, you can see there's still a bit of humanity in there, that there's still something living underneath that helmet. Future appearances would make it opaque, and because of that, future appearances can never be in the excellent category. And also for a few other reasons, which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, the voice is incredible. But honestly, the other Cybermen who are not the leader, there's not much to them in terms of their voice, in terms of their presence. David Banks as a performer adds so much to the Cybermen in the 1980s. The other Cybermen are comparatively a little bit boring. In the 1980s, they looked incredible, but looking back, it is obviously just a bunch of actors in flight suits. Isn't that right, Theodore? Peter Harrington, the mic pack on his chin. Yeah, that's probably why they made it opaque in future appearances, because when the Cyber Leader is fighting with the Fifth Doctor in the TARDIS in Part 4 of Earthshock, the mic pack makes its way down. Like, it was held together with tape or glue, and because of how hot the helmet was, it started melting and was sliding down, and it winds up in the finished episode. Fun, but that's probably why they're opaque in future appearances. So we're still in the 1980s, and we've got the Cyber Controller, who I have to put in the average category, because firstly, he's just cribbing off the Cyber Leader's design, but like, he's just not as fun. Like, he's just a bit of a bore. Like, I like how they've brought across the big bulbous brain with no handlebars. It's the same actor, but he doesn't have the presence of David Banks. He's got a bit of a gut on him, which, like, of course I'm not fat shaming, but it's a bit strange when you've got Cybermen and all of a sudden the Cyber Controller looks visually out of place. And also the Cyber Controller doesn't really do anything in the story except just bark orders at the Cybermen around him and also get shot at by the Sixth Doctor. On the other hand, though, we've got the stealthy Cybermen in the sewers. Maybe this image doesn't do it justice, but this Cyberman is painted jet black. So they're able to skulk around in the sewers and blend in with the shadows. This is cool. This looks awesome. If I encountered this in the sewers, I would scream my ass off. It would be terrifying, and I would want my emotions taken away from me right there and then because how scary it is. Because we don't get a good close look at it, we obviously can't see the mouth plate or whatever, but as a concept, as a design, yeah, this is going in the great category. It made a short impression in the 1980s, but a really strong one, especially when compared to, say, this Cyberman here, where its helmet is a bit crooked. It's not quite been fitted on properly, so it's just walking around looking like it's a bit wonky. So yeah, maybe controversial opinion, but I think if you take away the leader, the 1980 Cybermen are going to wind up here. Okay, the Cyber Leader from Silver Nemesis. Now, these cannot be in the same category as the previous Cyber Leader, because they did change the design by giving them cricket gloves, which are spray painted silver, so they've got this massive fat fourth finger. It's kind of the opposite problem for the Revenge of the Cybermen ones. When they're filmed out in the open, when they're with the Nazis, and like all the wonderful creatures, they look brilliant. They're shining, shimmering, glorious in the forests in Silver Nemesis. But when you get into the castle, which is like one of the main settings of Silver Nemesis, and also the warehouse, and the reflections from the brown and the copper and the bronze, they look fugly. It is a double-edged sword. If these Cybermen were outside all of the time, then awesome stuff. But when they're inside as well, it's not, yeah, they look a bit weak. I will say, actually, I'm going to bump up the Cyber Leader to great, okay? Because there's that amazing shot at the beginning of part 2 of Silver Nemesis, where they're shooting the Nazis, they're shooting Lady Painfort, and they're in a line, and the Cyber Controller is just walking towards the gunfire. He's not even got his weapon raised. It's brilliant. I love it. So we've got a bunch of Cybermen from the revival, the Cybus men. The Cybus men designed by Neil Gorton. Right, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Cybus men in the Great Cat. No, actually, no, we need a new tier. There's too much middle ground here. So, okay, yeah, so Cyber League can go here. Yeah, that works. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this will work. Okay, yeah, a good tier.
Is this the human condition of madness, leader? It is.
I designed a whole new tier for this, so it has to be here. The Cybus men go in the good tier. Now, there's very little, like, actual humanity to the Cybus men designs, but that wasn't the intention in 2005. They were trying to sell the idea of credible metal marching men, as opposed to actors in flight suits from the 1980s. So in terms of that, like, they got to their design like spot on in 2005, but they were really overused. I'm not a big fan of the voice. Like, the voice is fine, but it doesn't really carry it for like 10 years. And once you've had David Banks in the 1980s, you're kind of spoiled in terms of voices.
You are incompatible. You will be deleted.
But I will put the cyber controller in average. Like, it just feels like the brain is exposed just because that's what the cyber controllers of the past did. It doesn't feel like a practical thing. But the practicality of these suits are great. But there's also, when you've got the chest unit as well, I thought that was a really clever modernization of the chest units of the past, where it's still drawing attention to the chest, but you've got the Cybus logo. Like, if Apple were to create Cybermen, you know damn sure that the Apple logo would be the chest unit. The 10th Doctor even says, like, he's turned them into a brand. That's really clever. And it also means when you get the Cybermen that are removed from the Cybus men in Pete's world, that they still have the circle around the chest. It works, like, cohesively. There's so many here, like, blimey. This is just the cyber. Yeah, just put these. The cyber leader can actually go into good because it's just the black handlebars. That's great. But the cyber controller with the exposed brain and the black, it's, yeah, not really for me. This could be the most controversial thing I say, but I'm tempted to put the Cyberwoman from Torchwood in the great category. Chat, you may need to talk me down from this ledge. Maybe have me just put it in good. The Cybermen, from what we can tell in Pete's world, was that they were just taking the brain and putting them into suits of armor. Whereas in this case, for whatever reason, they decided to they just did a full like body conversion, which is much more true to the spirit of the Cybermen. No? Cyberwoman, okay, you madman, gotta bonk you now. What? No, this isn't horny jail. Like, I will dock it points because it gives the Cyberwoman heels. Like, no, this is not some sort of kink. I promise you. Chat, no, don't accuse me of this. The idea of the humanity works, okay? Flipseed William, she has cyber heels. It feels like a parent telling me off because I used my actual name. The rubber breasts, though, well, to be fair, the Cybus men have that, like, rigid chest at the front. Like, it's fine. Like, what else is going to be under there? Like, we cyber boober? No, a metal bra. Like, but I imagine men would get this as well. Like, you've got to cover them up anyway. You will bonk 4 times. Turns out when the 10th Doctor goes into that radiation chamber at the end of time, he's not going to a radiation chamber, he's going into horny jail. Why is chat so horny? Stop. Right. Have I said anything wrong, though? Like, the humanity design? Slippy Tiger can't beat a dinosaur, though. No, she won that fight. She beat Mafanway, the pterodactyl. Do I need to bump this down to good? Like, put it on par with the rest? Because I think I even like the voice of the actress when she's, like, partially converted. I think that's cool.
I am disgusting.
Okay, I might put it in good because they also give it the stomping sound effect. And there's just not enough mass in this design. You need to bonk it down. Maybe it stays in good, but I'm open to changing my mind by the end of this stream. I might put the next design in the bad category. It can't go higher than average, though. This is for the Nightmare in Silver design. Cyber Brig definitely goes in bad. Bad Brig. Bad Brig. Harry Duncan, what about the Cyber Shades? Honestly, if the Cyber Shades were here, they would go in bad. They would go in bad because it's just a copper cyber mask under a cape. That's okay, maybe just for this, Cyber Brig goes into non-canon. But these ones, though, I think they got to go in bad. Because firstly, they look plastic. I can imagine the concept art looking awesome, and maybe they looked awesome in the factory or in the warehouse, but when they were actually on set and when they were lit properly, they look plastic. I don't like the way they walk around. The voices are a bit boring.
Upgrade in progress.
They're too overpowered, believe it or not. They're so distant from what you imagine the Cybermen to be. These designs have never stuck with me. Alex L, the 360 head turn is awful in Nightmare and Silver. Oh, yeah. Stuart Stockwin, you gotta love the fast motion effect. I love that shot, but yeah. Chase 7, non-canon is the stupidest tier. Okay, people are getting too hung up on the word canon. These are canon, except maybe Dark Dimension, but these don't count. Cyber cyber pink. No, it's not happening. Cyber drone. Like, how do you talk about that? But I'm with James Fitzgerald. The Nightmare and Several Ones look like toys. Wumpa Kong, this is the first stream I managed to catch, and we're actually debating the merits of the Cyberwoman. Hey, right, I'm here for the journey, okay? I'm here for the journey. You may be here for the destination, but I'm here for the journey. I've got to put these in bad. These are the Wheel in Space Cybermen of the revived series. And you know what? I've got to put the wooden one here as well. I've got to put the wooden one goes in bad as well. It's just the same design, except it's made of wood, so the Sonic doesn't work on it, and it has a flamethrower, even though it's a wood one. Mostly who low their belly even made any toys of them as well. I think that's more indicative of the lack of merchandise from the Capaldi and Whittaker era, as opposed to the actual design itself. Okay, now we have a Shad. A Shad has got to go in excellent. Like, maybe just great, but folks, you've got to tell me if a Shad has to go. You've got to convince me if a Shad has to go to great, because for me, firstly, the voice is great. Patrick O'Kane, who plays a Shad, is giving an incredible performance, like up there with like David Banks in terms of best Cybermen performance. Like, he's got different elements of different Cybermen incorporated throughout the body. Like, I think he's even got like the arms of the Mondasian Cybermen as well, but he still feels bulky and heavy. The voice is amazing as well, and he just has such presence.
And I did have children. I slit their throats when I joined the resistance.
Great performance, great Cyberman, great concept. Incredibly well written in The Haunting of Villa Diodati, like genuinely scary and intimidating. But in terms of his fate, it's disappointing that he just gotten rid of from the story. However, the story itself, we're not really talking about here, otherwise the Revenge of the Cybermen Cyber Leader would not be as high as it is. Alex L says, love a Shad, despise the Cybermasters. Honestly, the Cybermasters are my favourite revival design, apart from a Shad. Like, these look like a great modernisation of a combination of the 80s Cybermen and the Invasion Cybermen. The spikes are a bit much, but these are like meant to be intimidating soldiers. I don't know how spikes are like intimidating, but the Cyber Warriors, I should say, I love them. They're shot terrifically. I wish they got a bit more to do. I did love their appearance, their scene with Belle and Baby Belle in Once Upon Time, even though they didn't really do that much, and they still got taken out by Ryan throwing hoops and basketballs. The design itself, they look incredible. I prefer these to the Cybersmen. I really do. I love this design. Yeah, Ray Holman has genuinely done an incredible job here. Chiva City Blues, they got beaten by basketball, Will. Counter argument. The 1980 Cybermen got defeated by crashing into a planet. Okay, where's Handles? Oh, if Handles was here, Handles would probably be higher up than the actual head designs that inspired him. Cyber Sentry from Pandorica Opens, that's the same category as the Cyber Drones, where it's just the head. It kind of shows the utility of these designs, or how much they were wanting to recycle these heads. But yeah, the Cyber Warriors are terrific. Now the Cyber Lords, unironically, I love the Cyber Lords. However, they did even less than the Cyber Masters, and even I'm kind of umming and ahhing about where they should be. The designs are audacious. They are basically Cybermen with Time Lord collars, and the fact that they commit to that so thoroughly is, honestly, that's like praiseworthy on its own. But the fact that we never see them in action, at least we see the Cyber Warriors like stomping around Gallifrey, shooting people, marching in formation. We don't even see that. We see one regenerate on the floor. I don't think I can put it any higher. I think these have to stay in good. But if just pure design, like, I love how fabulous these guys are. I hope that they do return, but Chibi Siblers will, they're mid. Nah, these are gotta be in good. They have to be. Like, these are not average designs. The sad face is a bit much for me. Actually, no, yeah, the sad... Okay, no. Actually, the sad face has like solidified me putting them in good. Because I was debating, do I put them in great? But yeah, the sad face is a bit... Yeah, so these stay in good. King, the Cyber King. The Cyber King wasn't on here. The Cyber King was not on this tier list. Cyber King, where would I put the Cyber King? GBC Blues, what are your thoughts on the 1960s Cyber Planner? It's just a scaffolding in a room, innit? Like there's not a lot to it. That's my Cyberman tier list. If there's any other, also yeah, so Dark Dimension, the adventure games ones are down here. For some reason, Cyber Pink, I guess he just joins them here. Cyber Brig. Yeah, okay, I guess that's just how it's got to go then. Dark Dimension, you can't count Dark Dimension. Folks, if you enjoyed me putting together this tier list, then let me know in the comment section below, and also maybe let me know what else you want me to rank in tier lists. One day I may do a proper edited, like here's a proper ranking, and I'll include things like maybe Cyber King or whatever ones this tier list did not include. But yeah, maybe this is just me guessing them. This is just me putting something together on stream, and I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to send me tier lists on Twitter, at Trilby Reviews on Twitter. Lee New, next week, can you rank Sontarans but based on their bonkability? No, we're going home. Good night, everyone.